Welcome to the Dean Bleckman Show, live from Long Island. Free-flowing talk with a charismatic, down-to-earth host. Join Dean as he interviews and chats freely with his guests, ranging from superstar athletes to politicians, industry titans, and everyday folk with fascinating life stories. Dean educates, entertains, and most of all, touches people's lives. You're listening to the Dean Bleckman Show, live from Long Island.
Hi, guys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dean Bleckman Show.
Hi.
February 10th. It's around 10 o'clock Eastern Time, as promised, here on the North Shore of Long Island, here in the Setauket studio of the Dean Bleckman Show. I'm here with my great friend and special featured guest again, clinical psychologist, Dr. Faith Brown, who everybody's getting to know, and to me, Dr. Faith. So thank you, fighting the elements, and thank you so much for making it out here to Setauket. I know
have it any other way.
Out by you, I know you had about 8 inches. Here we've got 14 to 15 inches.
Yes.
So, wow.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive you making it out here, and that we keep our promises to our audience and listeners. But
you were very important. The show is very important, and those guys out there are very important. So absolutely, we were going to do it.
So very exciting time. We spent a lot of time in the city with some real special tourists and people leading up to the holiday that's coming up. Basically it's about getting it right before Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
About love and relationships and spice and sex and all those great things.
Love, spice, and all things nice.
So my special guest, Dr. Faith Brown from the Brown Wellness Group in New York City.
Hello, everybody.
And I want to thank you again, once again, for coming live here.
My pleasure.
And making your way out here.
Absolutely.
Too. So let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun
and get started.
I think when we discussed possibly doing this segment, we were going, planning this around Valentine's Day may be a good thing, because Valentine's is a very special time of the year. When we honor our partners, the male partner honors females, and the female partner will honor the male in one way or the other. So it'd be kind of nice to get us all on the same sheet of music and have this be a really, really good Valentine's for everybody, right? So we actually took the question to the street. If you recall, we just did, a couple of, outtakes in New York. Yeah, some great people that that we were with. If you go to both of our Instagram pages, Dean Bleckman Instagram pages, to yours, Dr. Faith Brown. And our Facebook pages. Yes.
You'll see some great interaction of some wonderful people that were from all over
the world.
That couldn't wait to participate in voicing for this upcoming segment that we're doing here today.
Right. We ask a simple question on the street, and the question, although it seems to have a very complex answer, which is very interesting, and I'd like to hear from all of you guys, especially, let us know what you think. And the question on the street was, what's your definition of love? What do you think about love? What is the definition of love? Because we know that there are a lot of descriptors, right? But more importantly, what does it mean to you? Because when you are in relationship, in this particular case, we're talking about intimacy, then we can talk about a lot of different other relationships, platonicism, relationships between, or love between parent and child, between friends. But in this particular case, because it's Valentine's Day, we're talking about intimacy. So what does love in the context of intimate relationships? What does that mean to you? So let us hear from you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Just know that we are Facebook Live, and sometimes you're going to make comments and I may not get to them right away just because the setting is a little far away, but we have someone with us who will let us know what you guys are talking about. So we hope to get around to your comments and your questions.
Dr. Faith, I think it's important to let everybody know that even though we are Facebook Live right now, that we're also broadcasting here in the studio.
Yes.
That the audio version of this broadcast will eventually be up It'll be archived. It'll be podcasted, and it'll be eventually up on the Dean Bleckman Show YouTube channel, as well as iTunes to be downloaded. So,
and the good news about that is, if you miss any part of it, you can go back. This may end up being a guide, for a successful Valentine's Day. So you may want to go over and, take a look, download, because, it could mean the difference in having a mediocre Valentine's and a great Valentine. So
that's right. So listen, everybody's asking Dean. Everybody's writing in and want to know what Dean's definition of love.
So you got on the hot seat.
I got on the hot seat, everybody. So
wow.
So we're only 5 minutes into this show, and I've got to give you Dean's definition of
Well, before you do that,
love.
if you will, since we're only about 5 minutes in, can you tell what anyone is saying? Do we have anyone out there weighing in?
I don't know. Is anybody weighing in on their definition? I see some people coming in there.
Some people are coming in. Yeah.
Come on in. Don't be afraid. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, I can. I just want to. You know what? I'm going to go over. So guys, you're going to see me for a minute.
Go over and take a look, Dr. Faith.
I'm going to see what you guys are saying. I'm going to take the headphones off. So you guys stick with me just a second. I want to see what you guys are saying, because we want to address this, because we have a little bit.
Okay.
It's funny, I can define what is not. Yes, you can. Hey, sweetie. Hi. Sweet Capri. Hello, sweetheart.
So we have someone in the audience that's saying that she could define what is not love.
Yeah, ask her to give us a little bit more. Tell her to weigh in a little bit more on that.
Please give us a little bit more on that. Weigh in on that. We'd like to hear more from you, defining what is not love.
Hello, Susan. Hi, Susan.
Susan, come on, let's hear from you.
And there were a couple more folks, I don't know, as it moves. Because she makes an interesting point, right? About what is not
love.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to elaborate on that a little bit more.
We're going to talk about that. Yeah. I know there was something else she said, and I was hoping to read it. So I'll come back.
You're going to need to get your...
I feel like it's something that cannot be defined or put into words, really. Okay. That's very interesting.
You're going to need to get your headset on, so the audio version that you're in. You're going to answer this?
So, Sweet Capri, I agree with you. Yeah, it's hard to put this into words sometimes, which is why I think it's important that we talk about it. It's important. There are a lot of descriptors. I think Dean and I were discussing this earlier. There are a lot of descriptors for love, but what it means to you is what's important. And sometimes it is hard to put into words. But since Dean was on the hot seat, let's hear what he had to say about love, what his definition of love is.
And I'm sure my lovely wife Sharon is listening in very carefully. But I define love as mine and one's really deep thoughts, one's energies, deep emotions, physical attraction, incorporating, intimacy, understanding, having forgiveness.
Yes.
Forgiveness, very important.
Sure.
A desire to really be part, Dr. Faith, of someone's life, and really being united and committed.
Well, it's very interesting that you say that.
That's all that's Dean's definition.
Well, I like your definition.
There's a lot in there.
Particularly because when you say that you want to be a part of someone's life, that's a proactive position, right? Which means that you are willing to either, one, forgive, number two, accept limitations or shortcomings.
Right.
That you're willing to embrace when things are not so perfect. So that is a proactive position, saying, you know what? I want you just the way you are. Right? Just the way you are. The great John Legend, whom I love. I know you guys love him, right?
Oh.
He says...
I love it. I love his wife, too.
Oh, isn't she beautiful?
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful. I'm sure they're going to have a wonderful Valentine's Day. He says, loving all of your perfect imperfections. So it's really interesting that love will see what others may call imperfect, and he or she may as well, but we see them as perfect because love kind of covers all. Love heals where nothing else can. It is the salve that should heal. So when we start talking about love in this context, you mentioned that it was all embracing,
Yes.
all encompassing.
Yes.
It's pretty deep. And from where I sit, it is. So I'm going to give you my definition of love. I think we heard the folks on the street, right? I think it was Taylor, and it's not Tony, but Taylor. Taylor mentioned that she loves
Taylor and Tino.
and Tino.
Taylor and
such
Tino.
a great couple, such a lovely couple,
And if
you guys. Hey guys, I hope you guys are tuning in.
If you go to the Dean Bleckman Instagram
Yes.
page, show Instagram page, or you go to Dean Bleckman at Facebook, you'll see what Dr. Faith is talking about on this beautiful, beautiful couple
Yes.
from California.
Yeah.
Taylor and Tino.
And
lovely,
Tino.
lovely couple.
Lovely couple. And Tino said this. He says, 1 minute you want to run a mile away from them, and the very next minute you don't want them out of your sight.
Wow.
It's like embracing the person, like the yin and the yang, the very breath that I breathe. I can't do without them. I think I can because I'm going to run a mile away, but really I can't, is that next breath. So what do I think of love? It's worth noting at this point that men and women think very differently about love, particularly before the age of 60.
Wow.
And we will talk more about that in a different segment. But just kind of want to set the stage that men and women think very differently about, one, this concept of love, and two, particularly when love is coupled with spice or sex, as we're calling it today. Two totally different things, totally different topics. We will talk about it later. So
We'll hold on, everybody.
Yes,
Dr. Faith will get to sex, but we want to keep you here.
with love
Keep
right
you
now,
here
right?
with love and with spice before we get to
Yeah.
topic of sex,
Yeah,
right?
because you know what?
Dr. Faith?
For many, you're not going to get to spice if there isn't love.
Right.
For many, we can't quite get there. So, love for me, love is what it does. It's very simple. It is what it does. So it's an action word. We have the descriptors, right? It's forgiving, it's loyal, it's kind, it's gentle, but it is what it does.
Wow.
So you can tell me all day long that you love me. If there is no demonstration of that, how will I ever really know? Right? Now, I'm one that would like to be told and shown. And I'm not the only one. There are a lot of men and women who appreciate the duality of that. They like being shown as well as being told. But certainly, if it's not demonstrated, you're not going to know.
So what you're saying, what Dr. Faith, I think what she's saying. I mean, she's the expert. Okay.
I don't know about expert on love. We'll just see. That's a pretty dynamic thing, but.
Is it fair to say what you're basically saying is whether it's the woman or the guy? Yes. And especially the woman, okay? What you're saying is you want to be fed. Is that what you're basically saying? Feed someone. I'm saying that don't just say it. Yeah, that's an interesting. Don't just say it. The way you spoke and the way you would define and your emotions and your feelings. Sure. My feeling to you was, you need to be. What you're saying is, don't tell me you love me. Don't just tell me you love me. Just don't tell me. Show me, and that's why I came back to you and I said, Dr. Faith needs to be fed. Yeah. Sure, because it's for me. Again, I'm just one off. There are a lot of women, if you just tell them, that's okay. But for me, I like to be shown. And I think most people, because love is an action word, it is it should be demonstrated demonstratively some way, right? You show me that you love me. And from that, I can reasonably deduct that you do. But if you just tell me and there's no demonstration of that, I mean, don't tell me, are you hungry? Just ask me, are you hungry, and not deliver food, because that's the action part of that, right? It's like, well, why'd you ask me? Why'd you ask me if I was hungry? Right. You just to have the knowledge that whether I'm hungry or not. The next step is to then procure whatever that is. And that brings us to another topic.
right? Within the realm
But
of love.
before you say that,
We're not-
that was almost like when you approached 15 inches of snow that fell last night and you pulled into the studio's driveway.
Yes.
Right away, I was trying to shower you with food and coffee and
Absolutely.
tea.
Absolutely.
Instead of waiting for you to
Right.
say to, hey, Dean,
Right.
don't you think it's about time that you offer me coffee,
Right.
tea, or something to eat?
Right. If I have to ask you about it,
I was on it immediately.
you were on it. He is to be
I was-
applauded. He was on it immediately. He was.
I wanted to make eggs. I wanted to do pancakes, waffle. I wanted to do
Offering
whatever.
everything.
Everything.
Absolutely. You said, what do you want?
That's
Whatever,
right.
you,
Whatever
want.
you want.
Absolutely. And what is so special about that, which will lead us, even before we get to spice, is just a part of the love conversation, right? Is identifying what I wanted. You said, what do you want? You offered some things, and then you said, what do you want? You wanted to get to what I wanted. It wasn't just your own agenda. You didn't say, oh, I only have this, this, and this to choose from. And sometimes that's the case.
Right.
But you said, what do you want?
Right.
And
right.
oftentimes it's as simple as asking, what would you like? Because it's not then about you, right? You're trying to satisfy my appetite. You can't satisfy my appetite by you deciding what I want.
Right.
The only way to know what I want is to ask me, what do I want? If I decline, then, all is well, right? I have that option. But of course, if I said, you know what, eggs would be great. What if I said eggs would be great and then you just provided toast? That's about you and your agenda as opposed to trying to please me, right?
I get it. Right.
So in relationship, in the context of love, it is always about the other person, right? Because as you stated, I want to be in their lives.
Right.
So
right.
from a proactive perspective, the focus is on the other person. It's not self-sacrificing to the point that you're not happy, but it is focusing on the other person.
And Dr. Faith, this applies to no matter what type of relationship people are in, correct?
Right. That's across the board.
You don't necessarily have to be married. It could be
No, you and I
whatever.
aren't married. You have the beautiful Sharon to whom you're married, and but you were kind. And love is kind. Love is gentle. Love is generous. So when I showed up, you took very good care. You were quite chivalrous. And that's kind of like, that's a staple for me, you know. But short of that, love shows up that way. You want to make sure that someone is okay. You are concerned about their safety. You're concerned about their well-being. It was snowing out and you were like, be safe on the roads. If we need to reschedule, we will do that. But you and I thought about how much we love our audience, what we have committed to, the people who are kind enough to support us, that we're going to do as much as we could to fulfill this, right?
Listen, the love and the feelings that I have for you,
Yes.
as my dear friend,
Yes.
and colleague, and all this great stuff. I mean, I'm having the greatest time in my life since our friendship and everything that we're collaborating on, and
It's awesome. It's
really
incredible.
bringing this to everybody.
And this is what
I was
you
so
want.
when you made the decision last night to come out today.
Yes.
I was so nervous. I said, God forbid if something should happen to her, it's going to be my fault. Then when you decided to make the trip out, this morning I got up early.
Yes.
And even Sharon was constantly saying to me, I was out there, I was throwing salt down on the driveway.
That's what love does.
Dr. Faith was coming to
That's what
the
love does.
studio. I was taking the shovel out and I was chopping ice. And obviously when you arrived, my arm was there.
Absolutely. To make sure I didn't fall.
There was no way to make sure, I was going to make sure that you were going to fall down.
That's right.
On the driveway.
Absolutely.
So,
that's what love does, though. That's concern. That's consideration. And that's what you want in a relationship. And the joy that you're feeling, the joy that both of us share. And then when Sharon is in the room, that goes up, exponentially. That's what you want to feel in relationships. Relationships, for the most part, 90% of the time should bring you joy. There are times when we have to deal with life, and oftentimes life can get a little messy, but iron sharpens iron. And so if I have learned to trust you by what you do because you honor your word when you tell me you're going to do something, right? That kind of entrenches the tentacles of trust. And so once I trust you, then hopefully I can trust you with all of my Pandora's box. That is good, that is bad, that is not so comfortable, that's actually quite embarrassing. But because I know you love me, I don't have to worry about being judged. I wouldn't have to worry about any limitations or you ostracizing me or pulling away.
Right.
A big deal in relationships, oftentimes, egos get involved. You guys know this. All you guys know this. Egos get involved, and then we don't want to speak our truth because we're afraid that somebody is going to go away. Somebody can't handle the truth.
Well, Dr. Faith, when you say egos,
Yes.
isn't there a lot that applies to that immediately when you bring up the conversation of egos? My thought process turns to the old saying of, you know what, in relationships, don't sweat the small stuff. That a lot of the small stuff turns into a tsunami. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Boom.
Unnecessarily.
Boom, boom.
Sure. I happened to attend a wedding once, and beautiful ceremony. And this is the first time I actually heard a minister say this, and I've adopted it into my personal life. And it's a very, very simple concept in and of itself, but kind of difficult to embrace, if you will. But I think it works. And so as it relates to ego, the question becomes, when you're in a relationship with someone, is it more important to reconcile or is it more important to be right? Ha.
Ooh. Could I answer that?
Sure.
Reconcile.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
And that's what he mentioned.
Within a second, reconcile.
He says, you know what? It's more important to reconcile than to be right. And sometimes we're so wedded to having to be right. I have to speak my piece. Yeah, that's ego driven. I have to speak my piece, or I have to have the last word. They have to know that I know what I'm talking about. Well, you knowing what you're talking about are probably going to sleep alone tonight. You know what I mean?
Right.
How, who's winning that? We want a win-win situation. Does it really matter in the full scheme of things? It's better to reconcile than to be right, oftentimes. Now, that's not negating that there are sometimes serious issues that people have to discuss, right? Discuss those, work them out. But those little mountains that you were talking about, those little molehills that have the opportunity to just kind of grow into mountains, why are we doing that to ourselves?
Wow.
Why? And to our relationships. Why? It's better to reconcile than to be right.
Would you mind me bringing up a personal story?
No, please do.
I hope Sharon's not gonna once again. But
please do.
As
Hi, Sharon.
Sharon, I love you, and I invited you to be in the studio, but. I've got to share this personal story. We've been married for over 35 years, and
congratulations.
There's been very rare times that I've slept on the couch.
Oh, good for you.
And very rare that Sharon has slept on the couch. But
good for you.
But I got to part of this. Hey, listen, I told you that when I launched the Dean Bleckman show.
Yes.
It's about full transparency and keeping it real. So you brought up one comment today.
Okay.
You said sleeping on the couch.
I did?
And
you
used the word sleeping on the couch.
Oh, okay.
So I'll never forget it. It was I'm a huge New York Met fan.
Okay.
I'm a Yankee fan too. Don't all New York, but as a kid I grew up a Met fan.
Okay.
Okay? And I try not to get so emotionally tied to it. But 2 years ago, when the New York Mets were in the World Series, against the Kansas City Royals.
Okay.
I was getting so frustrated, and we were having such a great night with our family in the city, having dinner and just having a super time. We decided to get a hotel room to stay in, and we got back to the hotel. Sharon and I, had some wine. We had some wine at dinner and relaxed and everything.
Guys, I'm not sure where this is going to go.
I'm excited to get back to the hotel. Put the Met game. I think we were in the 6th, 7th inning of that World Series game, and if you get, it's no different than being an Atlanta Falcon fan last weekend. I mean, if you the ups and the downs.
Yes.
But I let myself get so carried away emotionally, so upset. And I wasn't thinking enough of my wife's feelings at that moment. I let my emotions, because it was tearing out my kishkas.
Okay.
That Terry Collins, the manager of the New York Mets, was letting Matt Harvey pitch in that ninth inning when I was saying, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't let Harvey go out. And everything went downhill and I was flipping out. And unfortunately, I let my emotions get so carried away instead of being intimately there with my wife at that moment. I was tied to the game.
Okay.
That unfortunately, she got upset and she stayed on the couch that night in the hotel room. So don't be mad, honey. I love you. And I had to tell that story when Dr. Faith. But
let me ask this question though.
But I was wrong.
Well, when you were into your emotions, so people get excited about, athletic events. So are you also saying that once the game was over, you couldn't let it go?
Oh, I was shot.
The
Mets lost. Anyone that's a New York Mets fan.
So that was the problem. You couldn't let it go.
They had to be shot for days after that game was lost and the World Series
there was no soothing you
was lost.
At that point.
No, I think sporting events, people that are into sports. I think I think sports, just like film and reading and music. I think sports is one of the greatest outlets. We're going through unprecedented times with this whole presidency and elections and the whole bit. Sports is one of those outlets, like the Super Bowl, to relax. But if you are a big fan of that particular team and you really live and breed a particular, I'm sure people out there can fully understand. I was a young kid growing up. The Tom Seaver days with the New York Mets. I was so distraught that night in that ninth inning when Terry Collins brought Matt Harvey out, and the game just went downhill after that. And unfortunately, I was wrong. I should have been able to balance the emotions and the sensitivity of my wife. So you've got I just wanted to bring up that personal story when you brought up you brought up some conversation about sleeping on the couch. So I had one of the few times. Yeah,
well, listen, if that's the reason you're sleeping on the couch, you're still doing really good. If that's the reason, you're doing really well. You're doing really well. Listen, getting excited about, over a game is that's a good thing. There are other reasons many people sleep on the couch.
Dr. Faith, I'll bet you Atlanta Falcon fans last weekend. I'm sure there was some moments.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there was some sleeping on the couch with some Atlanta Falcon fans.
Well, I've definitely heard from some Atlanta Falcon fans who were quite disappointed. So in the outcome of the game. So distraught even today. Going, what happened? What happened in that game? So absolutely. The question, though, becomes in the context of love, though, right? You said love is kind and generous and forgiving. There are times when we will be understanding, of what's going on with our partners, So if that warranted sleeping on the couch for you guys to have peace that night, then that's what it warranted. But it wasn't the end. It was not the end. And love has to work for both people. It's not one-sided. Love is very generous. So when it comes to the expression of that, if I want you to respect me, if I want you to be understanding of me, then I need to be generous and kind enough to understand you in your time of need. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, sure.
It makes a lot of sense.
Because again, you go back to what you said. I want to be in your life. You want to be in my life, right? So I'm going to consider your feelings at all times. By the time my feelings begin to trump yours, then we need to reevaluate. And it doesn't mean that you will get your way all the time or that I'll allow you or a partner to have their way all the time. But what it means is it is worth considering. It's worth consideration. Men are not, from what I understand, and from all of the scientific research, guys.
Listen up, man.
Guys don't like to talk a whole lot. not to women, not about intimacy, not about these things, particularly before the age of 60. Let's just chatter. A lot of noise. What's all the noise about? Do we have to talk about that?
Did you say before 60?
Before 60.
Before 60. Okay.
Yeah, before 60. Okay. There isn't a lot that, they will hear us, ladies, but they hear us in bits and chunks, So if many of you are thinking, we don't communicate a lot, or he doesn't talk to me, or I don't know what he's thinking. Well, there's a reason for that. And again, that's a subject for a different segment. But since you know that, then we need to present information the way that they will best receive it, right? To get the best outcomes. I mention that because it is important to know what partners need. If they need space, we need to know that. But if they need a thing, whatever that thing is, it's important to know that. You don't need a dissertation or to write a thesis on it, right? But we need to know what that is so that we can satisfy whatever that appetite is. Because again, I want to be in your life. I want you to want to be in my life. Do you understand?
I understand.
It shouldn't feel like an obligation. As a matter of fact, you should be running home. Like, I can't wait to get home. I can't wait to get home to see her. Or she can't wait to get home to see you, because of the very air, she represents the very oxygen that you breathe, Right. And that's not, ladies, hear me. This is not the same as losing your identity in someone. But iron sharpens iron. And sometimes we need the other person, desire the other person. We get energy from the other person such that we know if only we can touch them, by the time it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. If I can just get home to him, or I can just get home to her, it's going to be all right.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to be some parity here. Be fair. You got to make sure you take care of the guys as well. Okay.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Which is what I'm telling the guys.
What's amazing is we've got people from all over the world that are coming in on this. A lot of great stuff coming in here.
Which is why I was telling the ladies how you all communicate under the age of 60. That is for the guys. Yeah. For the guys to say, yes, tell him, Dr. Brown, we don't like all that conversation. No, just tell us what you want. Will you just tell me what you want? Don't make me guess, because I'm going to go wrong every time. You're not going to like, what I choose. Speaking of, let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about when guys feel like they should purchase something, make a purchase for their partner, or when she feels she needs to make a purchase for him. In this particular case, we're talking about Valentine's Day, right? But it could be for a birthday. It could be for Christmas. It could be for whatever, right? Oftentimes we'll hear things like, ugh, I hate shopping. Or number 2, I don't know what she wants. Or 3, what do you get a girl that has everything? Or what do you get a guy that has everything? All of them are cop-outs. They're just cop-outs. I'm telling you now,
well,
ladies and gentlemen, those are cop-outs.
Well, Dr. Faith, once again, I hope Sharon doesn't get upset with me.
Okay.
But full transparency.
I'm just telling you, you may have to make up with her after this segment. I'm just telling you.
I might be on the couch after this.
But let's hear it. Okay.
No, there's no question about it that with Valentine's Day coming up, she always makes it a point to say to me, don't send me flowers and don't buy me chocolate. Okay. Now she's thinking this past week of some more grander things. She's very spontaneous. So I know that she's got a big birthday coming up next year. So
great.
She's thinking of more of a vacation on a yacht.
Oh, that's fantastic. I like the way she
entertain.
thinks.
So she's right straight to it,
Well, at least you don't have to guess.
But
she told you.
That's right.
That's the whole point, right? You don't have to guess.
Yeah, she's very straightforward.
Yes.
And she's not afraid to, over the years, to tell me what she wants.
Listen, whether it is a high-ticket item or not is immaterial in this case. It's about speaking the thing, whatever the thing is, whatever gets you going, if that is a date at the coffee shop, if that's like out on the beach, for 2, dinner for 2 on the beach, whatever the thing is, that's what you talk about, instead of it being a guessing game. And There's something you want to say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, because I have a little bit more to say on that topic.
Well, listen, I've told you once again, be fair to the guys out there.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So I've got to make sure, because I want the audio portion too. So I'm trying to look at live and as well. But I'm reaching out to all the guys out there, every guy out there. When is it that you're busting your butt, you're trying your damn hardest,
yes,
so hard, and you're buying something for your partner, your significant other, and you just keep trying, and you're constantly trying, and the results are your partner she doesn't like it. I mean, that's
okay, that's a thing. That's the thing.
Anything you want to elaborate on that?
Absolutely.
What I just said. I mean, it's very the guys that are out there. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I know.
Love it.
They just try and then they're trying and they're buying and they're doing, and their partner just, no matter what they do, they just don't like it. So whatever you have to say about that.
So guys, I'd say that is almost, first of all, let me applaud you for your efforts. And just as I applaud you for your efforts, I'm about to give you this little nugget. That's almost the equivalent of trying to get from destination A, point A to point B, without a map. Okay? Where are you trying to go? Where is destination B? So when you ask what you want, instead of throwing the dart just at the dart board, as opposed to the center, then, there becomes a lot of wasted energy and effort, and somebody's inevitably going to be upset, right? But if you just ask me, I'll tell you what I want. If you just ask, you don't have to worry about working so hard and spending all. You'll know exactly what I want if you just ask. So here's my philosophy on that.
Okay.
Guys and ladies and gentlemen, you get a pass for the first year of a relationship, when you're just kind of getting to know each other, as far as making these purchases are concerned.
Wait, Dr. Faith. You're telling me right here, for our audience, Dr. Faith says, look at that smile. Look at that smile, man. What a great smile, huh? She's got some put 'em, huh? You're saying that both sides have a 1-year pass.
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Because the first year is all about getting to know one another. I'm going to get to know your likes and your dislikes. I'm going to get to know your different nuances, right? And so in getting to know you, then by the time the second year begins, then I don't know what to get her, or I don't know what to get him, that goes out the window. Because if I have spent time in intimacy, and right now I'm not talking about the bedroom, but if I've spent time getting to know you, really, then I'm going to know something about you. And I'm going to know what you enjoy, to the point that you may not have to tell me. But if you have to tell me, the intimacy is such that I can ask, well, honey, what would you like for Valentine's? What would you like for your birthday? What would you like for Christmas? And then all of the hard work. So that brings us to this other thing. So we have a situation where a high ticket item is involved, right? She wants one or he wants one. And you're not financially prepared at this point to make the purchase or to secure the services, whatever it is. The thing not to do, what you don't want to do, is make a substitution. That's not what you want to do.
No substitution.
You don't want to do that.
Dr. Faith.
What you want to do is say, go, honey, you know what? I can really appreciate that being your heart's desire. So it will take X amount of time for me to get that, but I want to get you what you want. Can we settle on a time for me to get that for you? Most women appreciate having him deliver what they want, their heart's desire, as opposed to 10 substitutions.
Okay.
I'm going to make it up by buying her this, and this. And what's she going to say? She's going to say what all men are afraid of her saying. Wrong answer. I know. And he's not going to be happy at the end of the night either, So this is about both parties being happy. So why not get her what she wants?
Wow, there's a lot of pressure coming up on Tuesday with Valentine's Day.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's pressure. I would think that this particular segment is going to ease the pressure.
I hope so.
Because if the guy is wondering what to get her, we've just said ask her. Ask her. And you're going to find out.
Wow.
If she doesn't tell you, then maybe you and I need to talk, because that gives you, an opportunity to purchase almost anything, and she should be happy about that. But that's beyond a year, right? Or before a year. So beyond a year, I would think that he has been observant. She has been observant to the point where you've observed things like, does he enjoy watches? Does he enjoy golf shirts? Does he enjoy experiences? Does he like skiing? Does he like baseball? What is his thing, right? And so for the guys who say, what do I get the girl that has everything? She has a collection of something.
Wow.
And you can always add to her collection. So in the accessories department, there's probably a certain type of purse she likes. In the jewelry department, there's probably a certain type of watch she likes.
Sure.
So if she has a certain type of watch, what about a complimentary pair of earrings? You can always add to a collection. So that about, what do you get the girl who has everything? There's always an answer. So, and for ladies, what do I get the guy? If he's a gadgets person, technology changes all the time, right? So we can decide, and give him a pass. Honey, I don't know if you have this because I know you're up on everything, but here's the gift receipt if this doesn't work for you. And that should be okay. He should not feel embarrassed by that. Neither should she. If that gift is a duplicate of something that he or she already has. So within the first year, we're getting to know each other. Okay, you get a pass. Beyond the first year, no more passes.
No pass after 12
no
months.
More passes.
Hey, listen, if it's I don't mean to cut you off, but I do have to, there was that one subject that we spoke about flowers and chocolate with Valentine's Day coming up, candies. I shared what Sharon says. Shar, don't buy me chocolate, don't buy me flowers. Why don't you just share your feelings on that with Valentine's Day coming up?
Yeah.
About, I hope you don't impact the chocolate and the floral industry too much from this.
Right.
But your feelings about, guys running out and the need to, that their flowers and chocolate has to arrive.
Okay, so I'll make a general statement, then I will get to me personally. How about that?
Okay.
So I think generally one has to know their partner. Does she like chocolates? Does she like flowers? And if she likes chocolate, then it's worth asking what kind of chocolates does she like? Not everybody likes the little round heart. Showing up with this candy doesn't work for a lot of women. Trust that. Particularly if she's into fitness and she's, you may not want to go there, right? So the little box of chocolates, the red hearts, maybe not. Maybe she likes chocolate though, but maybe it's a different kind. So know your partner. Flowers, you need to know the flowers that she loves. If she's a rose girl, if she loves roses and you're showing up with carnations, not good. Get to know what she wants. Get to know what gets her going, because at the end of the day, you want to be happy too, right?
Wow.
So this is a win-win. You ask what she wants so that there's a win-win at the end of the day. That's what we want. So for me personally, love flowers. I'm a girl who loves live flowers. Roses are my favorite, followed by hydrangea. So if flowers are being delivered, that's a home run. That's really good.
Wow.
I'm not a chocolate girl, so there's no need to.
I love chocolate. I love chocolate. The problem is I always tell Sharon not to get me chocolate because I don't have any self-control.
I hear you.
I love chocolate. So if she doesn't get it for me, I never eat chocolate.
I hear you.
But if she gets me, she always gets me every year. Do you ever see those giant Hershey chocolate kisses?
Yes.
She gets those giant.
Yeah.
And I love chocolate. I'm not able to just, I'm not able to have self-control and
I hear you.
just cut off a little piece.
Yeah.
I've got to eat all of it.
Well, you're not by yourself. You're not alone.
And my waistline, it's challenging for me these days.
I hear you. Well, it's important to know your partner. I mean, you know what? Whatever partners decide, that's what they decide. But you will know from having the conversation, from just asking the simple question, honey, what do you want or what don't you want? So that's what I recommend. Flowers for me, absolutely.
Cool.
And it's nice to also be proactive, because when you ask me, again, it becomes about me, not about what you want me to have, right? What you think is okay, because it may not necessarily be okay. We can get along. We can get on the same page. I think we prefaced this show by saying getting on the same page by Valentine's Day. Get on the same page just by asking a question.
Everybody get on the same page.
Just by asking the question, what do you want? What do you need? Just tell me. I don't want to guess. I want you to tell me. In my business as a therapist, there are a lot of things that may go through my mind as a client is telling me a story. But I ask the what, whens, hows, and how comes, because I can't afford to assume in my business. Someone would say to me, well, I just, what were we just talking about? Or, deductive reasoning will come into play. I can't quite afford that in my business. I have to know, because I could be wrong.
Right.
I could be wrong. So just ask the question so you'll get the answer.
Doesn't that go back to a little bit way back of our conversation when I used the word feeding?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, look at what happens. Look what happens to all the restaurants on Tuesday.
Yeah, sure.
It's a holiday. The restaurants are mobbed, packed.
But what if I'm a girl that don't want to go to a restaurant?
Well, that's what I'm bringing up to you.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, that's a tough night. Going to the restaurants on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of guys. They feel that they've boom, boom, boom. They got to have be out at the restaurant, and that is one holiday where, things just, it's such bedlam and such going on in the restaurants that it's not one of, from a service standpoint and even food quality, it's a tough night for the restaurants. But you just brought up a good point.
Yeah.
Why not those guys surprise your significant other? Why not surprise with the element of maybe either bringing in or cooking and just a surprise at home?
That's quite thoughtful. Absolutely.
Right.
So care enough to ask. Honey, would you like to go out? If she says, honey, I don't think so, it's going to be too crowded. Yeah. I don't want to do that. Then you have the other options that are open to you. If she's one that likes going out, she may have a specific restaurant in mind because of maybe a new chef is in town or whatever. But the night is about pleasing one another. So ask the question. I keep coming back to this. Just ask the question. The element of surprise is fantastic when you know her, when you know her well enough, right? So for some women, they may go, you know what? I don't want to go out. So then he may bring in a chef, or he may decide to cook, or he may plan a picnic in the middle of the floor, with the fireplace going. Who knows? But then it opens up, the door for more options. But ask the question. So
I've got to ask Dr. Faith this question.
Okay.
Dr. Faith, what do you like on Valentine's Day? Do you like to go out to a restaurant? Or do you like to be at home?
It's not either or for me.
Wow.
It changes from year to year. So It all depends.
Wow.
It all depends.
That's
Sometimes
cool.
I like going out. Sometimes I don't.
Wow.
Sometimes I may like an afternoon stroll so that I can have my evening to myself.
So you like spontaneity.
I do.
Awesome.
I love spontaneity.
I like that. That's cool.
As long as it's grooving in my lane, absolutely. Because whomever the partner is will know what I like.
Let me tell you something, Dr. Faith. In the short time that I know you,
yes,
I know that quality you have, spontaneity.
Absolutely. So, I'm not the one to because the partner can pick something up. And as long as whatever the person is picking up, it can't be the afterthought of, well, you know what, at least I tried. No. You know me well enough to know that I'm not going to eat certain things, period. So to bring that to me is not going to work because we're past 12 months now.
Wow.
Right? Wherever it is, we're past 12 months. So, I know her well enough to know, she doesn't eat that. She doesn't like that. So I'm not going to take that. Know me well enough to say, she's great. I will bring dinner in, but here's what I'm going to take in.
Hey, listen, and I'm not going to say this to just guys, but I'm saying this to the gals too.
Sure.
There's no question that Dr. Faith is coming out very clear on the record that relationships get a 12-month, 1 year grace period. You get a pass.
In this
you
particular,
get a pass for a year,
as
right?
as it relates to purchasing things.
Wow.
Yeah, as it
Wow.
relates to purchasing things, just because we're getting to know one another. And, if we can last a year, fantastic. And I have a whole different philosophy on that. But certainly, because we're getting to know one another. And if I care enough to extend myself in the realm of intimacy, right? Because that's a lot of giving and receiving. I'm going to know you well enough to know what you want, what your heart's desires are. And that I don't know, I'm going to care enough to ask.
Well, you keep using the word intimacy and people's desires. I mean,
Let's get to it.
I mean, come on,
Okay, so
you keep using the word intimacy and desires.
So let's talk about that. That's the spice, right?
Does that personal intimacy and does that desires? Does that is there a? I'm going to be right to the point, Dr.
Sure.
Faith. Is there such a thing as a 2-week grace period, a 1-day grace period?
As it relates to?
You know where I'm going.
No, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by grace period, though? Talk to me. What do you mean?
You're talking about intimacy.
Yep.
Intimacy in different ways.
Sure.
That there could be intimacy.
Yes.
Without sex. Correct?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. So obviously, intimacy now can the topic of the conversation turning to sex. Okay.
All
so
right.
how do you want to lead this?
Okay, so let's talk about it. So here's the first thing I want to say about this. This is so exciting, guys.
Sex.
So this is
Stay
the
with
spice.
us, huh?
Stay with us. Okay, so as it relates to sex, the spice in this thing, it's kind of like the glue, the thing that keeps you coming back. And this is a huge topic. So I'm just going to touch on just a little of it.
It's beyond.
Right now, okay?
It's beyond huge. It's huge.
Yeah, right. I mean, we could talk from now forever on this topic and not get it all in still.
Right.
So, but I'll start here. So for most women, 99.9% of women, love and sex go hand in hand. Okay?
Okay.
For 1%, not so much. They're pretty independent about sex. They can take it or leave it, or they can have sex without the element of love.
Wow.
For sport, if you will. Okay?
Everybody
Friends with
understand
benefits.
that? Everybody understand that?
Friends with benefits. Okay. For men, love and sex before the age of 60 have almost nothing to do with one another.
Wow.
And many of you may say, well, Dr. Brown, why would you say that? What are you talking? For most men, because of the way, and this is another topic, the way that our brains are structured, our brains are totally different. The female brain is different from the male brain. And because they're different, we process intimacy, love, and sex very differently. For women, they go hand in hand. For men, they do not necessarily so. Now, if you want a win-win at the end of the day, it's best to know how they're thinking about it. So if for a woman, if love and sex go hand in hand, then that means your efforts need to be in that direction.
Wow.
Right? Need to be hand in hand. For example, so if I want a win-win on Valentine's, and I know love and sex go hand in hand for a woman, that means when we get to the action stage of intercourse, I can't just show up and expect her to be ready. I have to have made love to her euphemistically for the past 24 hours.
Wow.
What did I do to ready her for the action stage? If I were a guy, I'd be asking, what does she need?
Okay.
What does she need?
Okay.
So one thing that I want.
So too many guys are boom. Testosterone is raging, and they're ready for the act of intercourse. Mm-hmm. That not enough is done to prepare their lady, their woman for
right. and
for that moment.
For the moment. And let me just tell you this: because testosterone is raging, you do want a home run. And because you do want a home run, you better make sure that you have the roadmap to get there. Right? And part of that is pleasing her. What does she need? For a woman, many women today work outside the home, and those who work in the home have a tremendous amount of responsibility. It's going to be tough to get to the home run if you've not readied her to the stage where she's totally relaxed and she's able to abandon all of the stressors in her life. So it would do one a huge, huge, huge justice to understand the stressors that are on her plate, the ones that can be effectively removed, such that she can relax and you can ready her for that stage.
Right.
So when I talk about making love to her before the act of, that's 24 to 48 hours in advance, where you have walked up to her and just given her a nice rub on the shoulder. Honey, how are you today? Honey, what do you need today? Is there something I can get for you? Not in a contrived way, not in a cunning way, but in a way that's meaningful and earnest, one that you mean, right? Because she can smell that a mile away. Wow. She knows when someone has, an endpoint in mind.
Wow.
So it can't be from a cunning perspective or manipulative perspective. You've got to mean it, right? Because she's got to feel like she can offset that. She can give you that stressor. Again, that Pandora's box, she can give it to you safely.
So you've got to 24 to 48 hours before intercourse. You've got to make, guys got to make love to their lady.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
Absolutely. I love that.
And so whether that's
great.
So, and that's
Awesome.
true.
Awesome.
And that's true though in heterosexual relationships as well as homosexual relationships, because no one wants to feel like they're just the object of. Right. They're at that's the end point. That may be the goal. But how do we get there? And what I'm saying is if we want a win-win situation, we need to follow the roadmap. And that's going to get you there. And let me just say this to all you ladies. I know that we are coming up on our time. When it comes to the subject of orgasms.
Orgasms.
Ooh.
What a great topic.
What a great topic.
Orgasms. Let's talk about orgasms.
Guys, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, the one thing I want you to do, and we can talk about this publicly or privately, but I want you to stop faking orgasms.
Wow.
Stop it. Just stop it.
Dr. Faith, your expert opinion, how prevalent, how often are women in society faking orgasms?
At least 75% of the time.
Oh my God. You got to be kidding me.
One of the reasons...
God, did you hear that? Say that again. How much?
About 75% of the time.
Wow. Faking orgasm.
And
wow.
Oftentimes, men wouldn't necessarily know, right? I mean, he will ask her if, whatever occurred, and she may graciously say yes. And oftentimes the answer is because I didn't want to hurt his ego. Well, how about telling the truth? Because her satisfaction is very important. Ladies, your satisfaction is vitally important. Our brains are wired such that. So we have 3 brains. I don't know if we discussed this before, and we won't get into a whole subject about this now. But we have our primitive brain, and then we have, the emotional brain. We have our, our cerebral cortex, which executive functions. But our primitive brain was all about survival. And part of survival is advancing the species, right? So there was, mating, we have the urges, the innate urges to eat, to sleep, to protect ourselves, right? But then we developed that emotional brain center that keeps that primal instinct in check. Those things we love, we want to do again. Those things that bring us pain, we run away from. Sex is designed to bring pleasure, so we want to do it again. So if you want her, guys, to keep wanting to do it again, then her satisfaction is important.
Wow.
It is important. So no faking orgasms. Tell him what you want. Tell him where to go. Tell him what to do. Guide the ship so that you'll know exactly what to do so everybody's happy.
Dr. Faith, listen, I'm out there. Guys, I'm out there with you. I've got you covered.
Yeah.
Listen, you've got to share your expert opinion on lovemaking, making it not just for the woman.
Absolutely.
And not putting the pressure, not for the guys. But once again, what you have to say about making a lovemaking intercourse mutually satisfying.
There is nothing off the table between consenting adults. The operative word being consenting. So whatever it is, here is what needs to happen though, guys and ladies and gentlemen. There has to be a conversation. We have to feel free to have a conversation about sex. We oftentimes do not. Because let me just tell you, whatever you came into the relationship with, you said you've been married 30 years, right?
35
years. Okay, there are a lot of people who've been married a long time. Typically what happens is, and this is typical, there are some exceptions. Whatever happened in your sex life when you were in your 20s, when you married your partner, That's probably the exact same pattern that is going on today. Because, it worked then, so I guess it works now. No, not so much. That's why we have a lot of bored people in marriages. Sex is boring for a lot of people. Boring. Okay? But in order to bring in a new element, you have to be willing to talk about it without accusation, without the element of accusation. She wants another position. She wants to try something different. The first thing pops in his head is, who has she been with? He wants to do the same thing. Honey, why don't we try this? And pops in her head, who has he been with? How about nobody? Nobody.
So, Dr. Faith, you keep talking about positions here. How do you break the ice?
You say, honey, I just heard from Dr. Brown that we can talk about this. I'm bored. I'm bored and I want something different. Can we talk about this? It's time to talk about this.
Wow.
So, and it's true. If you think about it, whatever was in your mind 20 years ago, it worked. And, guys will talk to guys, ladies will talk to ladies, but are they talking to each other? And they're the only two that can fix this thing, right? But we do the same thing because the same thing worked, 20 years ago. Well, it ain't working now. It's not working now. So maybe now, whereas before it was missionary style, lights off, the master bedroom or whatever, and you read something or talking to the guys or she was talking to the ladies, maybe she, the kids are out of the house. Maybe she wants to be flipped over the counter. You don't know, but you won't know unless you talk about it and give her permission to speak her truth. Instead of going, well, who has been flipping you over the counter? Like, who have you been with? No one. Actually, she's telling you because she wants you.
Wow.
She wants you to satisfy that. So step up to the plate. Make it happen.
You heard that.
Two people will walk away pretty satisfied, but you got to know what you want. When I was here before, we talked about mind, body, spirit alignment.
Right.
And I mentioned the vertical relationship, knowing myself well enough to be able to communicate horizontally what my needs and desires are. Wow. When this is aligned, I can effectively communicate, to anyone horizontally. And most of all, it should be to my partner.
Wow. Great advice.
Makes sense to you?
You heard it here. If you heard it for the first time, you heard it here on the Dean Bleckman Show. You
heard it first. America, let's talk about sex.
Okay. Sounds like communication, right?
It's communication is everything. We can't get anywhere without it. I'm privileged to, be hosting my own show soon.
Yeah. And once again, congratulations
thank you very much.
Okay.
And that show, is entitled Laughing Loudly, Loving Deeply with Dr. Brown. And that has to do with removing all obstacles that prevent us from laughing loudly and loving deeply. And one of them is, lack of effective communication in relationships. Right. We're not communicating about our needs and our desires. And we end up with a lot of bored people in relationships who then that leaves the door open for other things to happen. But if I can find solace in my partner, how much richer could that be?
And it's just be open and communicate. Okay?
Ask and communicate. Just talk about it.
How about when you communicate and you do ask and the answer is no?
Well, then you talk about that too. And she's not going to acquiesce to everything and he's not going to acquiesce to everything. There are some things that are just not going to be on the table. And I think that's a part of the relationship though, right? That's a part of understanding your partner. There's give and take. There is compromise. Sometimes it may go well. Sometimes it may not. But I think you can open the door for variety that satisfies the two of you.
Wow.
To a large degree.
So unbelievable advice. We're coming up on the hour now. Is there any other areas you want to get into?
No, not as it relates to, love, spice, and all things nice. The thing that's going to keep us together as partners is effective communication. And that doesn't mean, again, a thesis, but it does mean a mutual understanding of the needs of one another. So if we're going to stay together, if we're going to have win-win situations, we really do have to talk about what we want and what we don't want. Wow. It can be very clear, it can be just that simple. Ladies, men, they don't want a thesis. Just tell them what you want in a very loving and very kind way, because love is kind, love is generous. Whatever you expect, whatever you want, however you want someone to treat you, you should treat that person the same way. And now I'm going to go to the other side of the spectrum just really quickly too. And and this is a different segment, whatever you don't want from them, then perhaps you shouldn't do either. Whatever that is, if whatever that is, if you don't want that showing up, don't you do it. But because we're going to treat others the way we want to be treated. By the time you have that establishes the trust in the relationship, and by the time we establish trust, I can trust you with my Pandora's box. I'm going to bring you the good, the ugly, the bad, which is intimacy.
Right.
That's a part of the intimacy, so that you know me well enough to know exactly what turns me on and what's going to turn me off. Because at the end of the day, we want a win-win situation.
Right. Well, listen, in our brief time of our friendship, once again, we figured out our communication,
Yes.
and it's been going damn good.
I'd say
it's been really good.
I'd say
there's nothing better than what we've been able to do with inspiring, educating, and along the way, openness to really bring a little bit of some humor as well.
Absolutely.
Along the way.
You have to have fun.
So once again, my featured guest today is the beautiful young, great lady,
Thank you.
my dear friend, clinical psychologist, Dr. Faith Brown.
Thank you so much.
Brown Wellness Group in New York City. And I can't thank you enough so much for dealing with the elements. I mean, come on, out here in Setauket.
Absolutely. I was coming though.
15 inches of snow.
Yeah.
This lady is hot stuff, man. She's not only beautiful internally and externally, she's become a dear friend of mine, and you're really special. And
Thank you.
You've got some great insight and advice to spread around the world. I'm very happy that you're getting your own show. Hopefully you'll invite me maybe as a guest one day.
Absolutely.
And for both of us, just some great stuff to continue to collaborate.
Absolutely.
More importantly is not the shows, but my friendship, my new friendship with you.
Yeah, the relationship is important.
You're really special, and you're great.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think the same. It's mutual. Mutual. Do we have anything to address there? Can you see if there's anything to address before we sign off?
I'm not able to.
Can you determine what that person is saying?
Let's see. Tawana.
Love
it.
Great.
Diane
Hi, Tawana.
O'Toole.
Hi, Diane.
Can't wait for your show, Dr. Faith.
Love you. Love you. Love you.
So on that note, what I'm going to do is we could stay with Facebook Live, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to close.
Sign off the show?
I'm going to close out the audio, the podcasted version, as I always do on all shows. As I say once again to my guest, thank you, Dr. Faith
It's my
Brown.
pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Very special, and this was a great show.
I think so. Valentine's Day is very special.
You bet.
Right? So we're going to find out what they want so that we have a win-win situation at the end of the evening, correct?
Right.
That's what we're going to do.
So I want to thank all our listeners around the world today. I mean, they're coming in from everywhere, Europe, everywhere they're coming from. And as I say to everybody, please, with the Dean Bleckman Show, like us on Facebook. The audio version of our show together will be available on the show's YouTube channel, on iTunes, and please, I want everybody to know that everybody's got a story.
Yes.
Everybody's got an experience. And if anyone wants to come out to Setauket that's really got an inspiring, exciting story and would like to be on a global radio show here, please, dean@deanbleckman.com. Please write to me. And I just want to say from all of us here at the Dean Bleckman Show, I want everybody to have a great day, a great weekend, and happy Valentine's to everybody. We'll be staying with you still on Facebook Live, but we're going off the air on the broadcast version. So from all of us at the Dean Bleckman Show,
happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's Day. Have a great day, a great weekend. Love you all. Love you, Dr. Faith.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
Okay.
You've been listening to the Dean Bleckman Show, live from Long Island, New York. From all of us here, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. We look forward to hearing your comments via Facebook, Twitter, Skype, and email. And don't forget, you can visit the webpage anytime for the up-and-coming guest list. From all of us here, have a good evening.